All right, thank you, everyone, and it's been myself. I'll try that again. Hello, everyone, boys and girls, and welcome to the Fine Cook Podcast. Today, it's just the two of us.
Just the two.
How are we doing, Hayden?
I'm good, man. Are you doing well? It looks like you've got an extra coat on today or something.
It's just thick.
It's just a bit thicker.
Yeah, it's thick.
Is it a bit cold there, like?
No, just cozy, innit? Getting a
Nice.
nice thick jumper. Yeah. But yeah, stuff that's been happening in the week. I think one of the big things is the Suez Canal crisis.
Yeah, I don't actually know much about this, Jeff, so you'll have to explain it to me.
Well, for once, the Suez Canal crisis isn't caused by Britain or France or anyone like that.
Yeah.
It's caused by this massive tanker just getting lodged sideways in the canal. Now, no one could go past, and it's caused a massive disruption to infrastructure all across the world.
Wow, the amount of shit in the world is stopping people. Is that that's what's basically happening, is it?
Yeah, you see all these boats, they have to go like all the way around Africa to get to like Europe or Asia or whatever. Because that was why they had the Suez Canal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
Man, that's a bit of a nasty situation to be in. I'm not gonna lie about that.
Yeah, you ever think you're going to screw up bad? Just think, well, at least you haven't lodged a tanker sideways in.
I don't know if you've ever had it, like in our local area, like when it rained really bad one year, and like the sewage came up, that it rained that much. Like it was pretty nasty. That was pretty nasty. I don't know if you ever had that problem, Jeff.
We weren't flooded by sewage, if that's what you're asking.
Well, not necessarily. Well, no, it was rain. No, it like rained, and obviously it overflowed the sewage, and then it just like busted open or something like that.
Oh, I remember something like that, but I wouldn't be surprised. No, but with the it turns out that the people driving the boat, if you look at their GPS tracker, it turns out that they drove the shape of male genitals. It's just like, oh yeah, massive tanker, just like go round and round, just drawing all these shapes, and they're just lodged sideways, like like drunk driving or whatever. And what they're trying to do with it, bear in mind, massive tanker, and then you got this tiny little digger trying to just dislodge it.
What is it? Just like a mini digger or something? It's not even like a full-sized one.
And it just looks small compared to the massive.
Okay, yeah.
Size.
So it probably is a normal-sized one. It's just there's just that much shit.
Yeah.
It's just.
And you got these like dinghies trying to push it. It's been a few days now. It just hasn't budged.
I'll tell you what, somebody's getting a really good payout for that. Doing that job, man. It's a bit of a nasty job, but somebody's got to do it.
Yeah,
pretty much like a lot of jobs in life, really, isn't it? Like you've got to like a lot of like these council workers get disrespected a lot, like don't they? And like get like I don't know put down because of the job they do, but you've got to remember their job's so important.
Yeah,
so important. Like bin men, like if bin men didn't collect the bins, the place would just be filled with rubbish everywhere, wouldn't it? So
plumbers.
Yeah, plumbers.
Like you said, if it goes wrong, well, yeah.
And plumbers get paid a lot as well. It's a really well-paid job if you can get into it.
Yeah. No, all respect to those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because before Conor McGregor became the UFC superstar he was an apprentice. He was doing an apprenticeship in plumbing,
Okay.
which is kind of which is cool. Where he went from that to like becoming a UFC superstar, pretty much.
Mm.
But it's the same. I think it's the same with a lot of people, isn't it? Though, like especially when they come from poorer backgrounds and they become super successful. Like Tarantino worked at a video store, didn't he?
Yeah.
Before he became a director, because his whole argument about the film school thing is, I didn't go to film school, I went to film, which
Mm.
means he watched a lot of films and learned from that, learned his style from that.
Okay. Uh, anything else happened this week?
There was the Snyder Cut, which I've not seen yet, which we are incredibly sorry that we've not seen it and we are not able to cover it. But um, yeah, as we were saying about editing and stuff like that, this is kind of a prime example, isn't it? Because I'm looking at the feedback on it, and it's so different to what the original release got.
Hmm.
It's like so different, especially I think on like IMDb, it's the original. Well, the original theatrical release is like a 6.2 or something like that, and this Snyder Cut's like an 8.3 or something like that. I don't know. I don't know the
Okay.
exact numbers, but it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. So just going back to what Josh said, like people
Yeah,
keep giving Snyder like the second chance or third chance or whatever.
yeah.
Do you think it's paid off?
I don't know because I haven't seen the film,
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, I guess it. I guess it kind of. I mean, I don't want to comment on the film's quality because I've not seen it. So, um, but what I will say is, it's amazing how like recutting something can change a film.
Hmm.
Like some films wouldn't be so bad if they were just edited right.
Do you have anything in mind?
Obviously, there's the original Justice League film. That's just all over the place. Assassin's Creed as well. Have you seen the Assassin's Creed film? It would have been better. It wasn't very good, but I think it would have been okay had it been edited right. Because in Assassin's Creed how you've got like there's like the futuristic setting of Assassin's Creed, then there's the historical
Okay.
setting. Have you played Assassin's Creed?
Nah.
Okay. Well, so basically in Assassin's Creed, it doesn't actually like there's two timelines in Assassin's Creed. There's like a future like timeline, which basically they get the protagonist to go into a simulation of a historical timeline with their ancestor.
All right.
So basically they're simulating their ancestors' memories, basically.
Hmm.
And it and it can't it obviously it takes you out of the futuristic setting into the historical setting in Assassin's Creed. Like you don't go back and forth between the two. You're either in the historical timeline or the futuristic one. In the film, it switches between the both timelines, and it's just a mess. It's just an absolute mess the way it's done. Like it takes you out of a historical timeline into the futuristic one. It's just an absolute mess, especially in the action sequences. Because Michael Fassbender's the protagonist, and he and in the futuristic parts, he's like acting out like what his ancestors doing in the other timeline, and it's just takes you completely out the action. Like I've seen like people like re-edit the scenes on YouTube without the future part, and it just helps it. I think if it's just left out, like you get what I
Okay.
mean.
Hmm.
It's like there's like cutting to something else that's taking you out of the film's what experience the film's trying to give you, almost.
Okay.
If that makes sense, Jeff. It's really hard to explain if you've not seen Assassin's Creed
I
or
think
played the games.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Is that mainly through studio interference? Like the studio keeps like changing things, but it ends up making everything worse.
I don't know on that one, to be honest with you. I think they tried to focus too much on one timeline. Like, in my opinion, the historical timeline in Assassin's Creed should be what the focus should have been, really. In fact, I don't really know if a future timeline was necessary. Like, just have the historical timeline in it. But I don't know on that one, to be honest with you.
Uh,
Obviously, in the case of Justice League, it is studio interference, I imagine, because didn't didn't like a load of stuff get like changed when Joss Whedon took over? I believe it was.
yeah, making it all like funny, haha, jokey.
Yeah, like
Um,
Marvel.
yeah, and also changing the color palette, just like
Yeah,
increase saturation, make it, and which, yeah, fair enough. If it was a Marvel film, that would be the color palette, but Justice League,
it's a DC film.
yeah, and in that sort of like universe, you had Man of Steel, Batman v Superman.
Yeah,
The color is a lot different. Like you glance
yeah,
at one, and you know what it is, but if you glance at Justice League, you're like, what is this? Oh, okay. You have to have a
yeah,
double take.
yeah. There were, did you know about the CGI scene where they took out Henry Cavill's mustache? It's that's not in the Snyder cut, by the way. That's not in there. I believe
Mm.
it's not. Just
Another thing that isn't in there, there's like a joke scene where the Flash and Wonder Woman like land on the floor, but Flash accidentally lands his face into Wonder Woman's chest.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
And apparently Gal Gadot, is that her name?
yeah.
She really did not like that scene.
Gal Gadot, yeah, yeah. I can
Um,
imagine.
and apparently it was a body double that stood in for her. Well,
Okay,
lie in for it, well, yeah, whatever. But
yeah,
yeah, that didn't fit the tone, and it's just a bit. Oh,
yeah, yeah. I mean, when you look back, it was very disrespectful of them to do what they
mm,
did. To be honest with you, especially considering the circumstances that Zack Snyder was under, whether you like him or not, you have to fully sympathize with his situation that he was in. And I don't know, they were just like, oh well, Zack Snyder's leaving the project. And we had something there. Let's just change a bunch of stuff around that he didn't want in it. Did you
yeah.
know that Zack wanted full control, and the only way he did get full control of it was by not getting paid to do it. To
Oh,
do the
really?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Hmm. Like, he's got a definite style.
yeah,
Whether you like it or not, he definitely has that style. He has the particular flair to it, but you you know what you know what's going on behind like the character's eyes. You know what makes them tick. There's always something there, even if you don't like it.
yeah,
But with something like, well, other studio interference that's happened with other films,
yeah,
it, either what makes it tick doesn't, it isn't consistent, or it's just,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Kind of reminds me of Star Wars. Actually, we're always talking about Star Wars on here, but
Oh, good old bingo.
the new the new trilogy of Star Wars films, like the number one issue with it was that they had three separate directors with their own goals with what they were trying to achieve with the films. Like if you look at A Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, like they are it's obvious they are written by two different people with two different intentions for the film.
Mm.
So it's kind of like a lot of people bash the prequels, but at least the prequels had a set goal in what it was trying to do,
Oh
and
yeah.
it was consistent in what it was doing. Whereas these films are just all over the place. You have one that, to be honest, The Force Awakens I think is good. Okay, a lot of people
Mm.
think it's plays it safe, but I think they needed to get to win people back over with everything. I mean, it had been what years since the last Star Wars film had released by then.
Mm.
So then they make The Last Jedi, which just like completely deviates from a lot of what was set in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
So so in that way they try to change things between the films, and it just doesn't work. It's very inconsistent, and it's I guess it's what happened with the Justice League as well, in a way.
Mm-hmm. Compare it to say Marvel, different creatives on different films.
Yeah,
How does that compare?
I mean, I think first of all, it's different stories in one universe, and there's this whole argument out there that the superhero genre is now in a more experimental stage in terms of genre. Like it's not just strictly superhero anymore,
Okay.
because obviously you've got the subgenres like the comedy aspect of some of them, um, the action, um, politics in some cases.
Mm. Uh,
And I guess horror when it was coming to the New Mutants, even though they changed it like they did with the Justice League.
oh.
It's like changing stuff all the time, just like doesn't work.
Fan Four Stick. They completely changed it to be safe and tried
Yeah,
and tested formula, which ended up not working. But
yeah,
the original direction for that was going to be sort of this darker tone.
yeah. That's well, I think what I'm saying is that it's different stories, a part of a bigger universe. Whereas with Star Wars, it's it's one storyline, isn't it, across three films?
Unless you count uh, Rogue One, Solo, which Solo is another one where
Yeah,
they kept changing directors like every month, it seemed.
yeah, yeah. But like I said, they're separate stories from the main films.
Mm.
So yeah, that's just what I think anyway.
And to have our obligatory Nolan reference in every episode, Nolan did say to Snyder, don't look at Justice League. Don't watch it. No, don't.
Yeah, I saw that because it would have broke his heart,
Mm.
which I would too. Like, I think they should have at least. I don't know. They must have like asked him, "Can we change this? Can we change that?" I don't know,
I guess they
or did
didn't.
they? I guess not. I guess they didn't, because if he left the project, then
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe he didn't.
Yeah, shame that.
Maybe they didn't. I don't know. Okay.
Uh, what were you saying about the goat?
The goat simulator.
Oh, that is a banger of a game.
Oh, mate. I mean, it's a bit slapstick and stuff, but anyways, the go is a term. I think it's more in sports than anything. Like goat refers to the greatest of all time, and I suppose it can be. I suppose it can be in anything, can't it? Like Michael Jordan's considered the GOAT of basketball. Um, yeah, yeah, that kind of thing.
Mm.
That's a bit of a shit explanation, but just like the greatest of all time, like who do we think is? I suppose there isn't just one GOAT when it comes to films or film directors for that matter, but because obviously there's different periods and different styles and stuff like that, and it's very subjective. Unlike something like sports, where it's quite where there's a lot of statistics, although there is statistics with film,
Mm.
you know.
Well, like with players, they can have a bad day.
Yeah,
Directors, they can make a bad film,
yeah,
but can still be considered great. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Fincher didn't have the best debut feature, did he?
No, no, no. But yeah, I just what do we? Who do you think is the GOAT of directing, Jeff? Like
Oh,
the greatest of all time, or like I guess you could say top five maybe
oh,
goats.
making it easier because if you say which is the one, that is just a tough
Yeah,
question.
yeah. I don't. It's like with favorite films, you can't just. I don't have like one favorite film. I have like many favorite films.
Mhm. I would say Fincher for one, especially his later career. He's definitely been more consistent with making good stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
Fight Club is still one of my favorite films of all time, and
yeah, but I'd say
it.
Panic Room is a bit meh.
I
Um,
yeah. I'd also say that I think Fight Club would be a great film for a lot of people to watch now, actually,
oh,
considering the
definitely.
circumstances. If you've not seen Fight Club, it's
Do it now.
fantastic,
Sorry.
but don't talk about it afterwards. Yeah, no
No, no,
rule
no,
one.
no. We broke the rule.
Broke the rule.
Um, because like Social Network, uh, Dragon Tattoo, Gone Girl, Mindhunter, Mank. I heard Mank's really good. I just haven't seen it. I need to see it. I need to just lay out an evening just to be like, no,
Yeah.
gonna watch this.
Wasn't Fincher a special effects artist originally?
Yeah, he worked for ILM, didn't he?
Yeah. I think it was Star Wars, you know. I think it was honestly Star Wars that he worked on one of the films.
I was about to say The Last Jedi, Return of the Jedi. He worked
Oh, don't go Last Jedi, Jeff.
on. He also worked on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, I
Yeah.
believe. Could be wrong, but no,
Yeah.
he did work an ILM. Other ones, would you say Nolan could be one?
Um I suppose he could be. It's very hard to say actually because he's such a modern director at the minute. Like he's still
Mm,
like a lot when a lot of people talk about like the greatest directors of all time, it's normally like past directors or directors that had their heights of their career during years ago or whatever. But I
mm,
guess Nolan can be on there to be honest with you. I mean,
yeah,
it's a bit more controversial because a lot of people don't think he's as original as everybody thinks. But I would argue no. I'd argue he's pretty original. Yeah, like you've got Memento. That's a fantastic film. It's one of my favorite films of all time. It's still my favorite Christopher Nolan film, and it's one of his first, I
yeah.
believe, one of his first films. It's so clever in the way it does things. I don't think there was a film before it that did anything that did that kind of style of anti-narrative. I don't believe there was. I could be wrong. I know there was a French film that did the same thing, but I think that
Oh,
came out afterwards.
okay.
But like, um, yeah, and also all of his other films. Like, I suppose you can't argue with his resume in a way because you've got Memento, Prestige,
Inception.
Inception, Insomnia, the Dark Knight trilogy. I
Mm,
mean, I mean, the Dark Knight trilogy, like, it's considered some of the greatest superhero films of all time. Maybe the Dark Knight, probably. is the greatest. If we're talking which one's the best in the trilogy.
Yeah. Well, even its more recent stuff,
Yeah.
like Tenet, people say, "Oh yeah, I don't really like that," but obviously people are going to be like, "Oh, I don't really like that," but
I can understand why people don't like it,
mm,
to be honest with you. It is, you really have to sit down and pay attention to everything in the film. Otherwise, you're just going to be completely lost in it. But Dunkirk is pretty good as well. I know a lot of people, I don't know, his later work doesn't seem to get as highly rated. Maybe he's just past the prime. I'm not sure.
well, he's past the point of people raving about him, and then after that,
Yeah,
a lot more people know about him, and those people who wouldn't have already been fans of his come to his films and be, "Oh, I didn't like that because of blah blah blah," and it's like,
yeah,
yeah, okay, well, they don't like it, but that doesn't mean to say that it's bad.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
just personal taste.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
obviously got all. What else has he got? Oh yeah, Interstellar, obviously.
yeah.
Stellar.
And Following, his very
Yeah,
first film,
yeah,
feature film.
and Doodlebug if you want to go
Mm,
even further back than that.
Quay,
That little
his
short film.
documentary.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, well, what about Spielberg? Because people would talk about him, but I honestly believe his recent career has just been a bit
You
meh.
know what? Whether you like Spielberg's later films or not, I don't think you can honestly argue with his resume.
No, 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 no.
I mean, you've got Jaws, you've got Indiana Jones,
Oh yeah, yeah.
you've
Mm.
got Close Encounter with the Third Kind, you've got,
Saving Private Ryan,
yeah, Saving Private Ryan,
Schindler's
E.T.,
List, E.T. Yeah.
E.T., yeah, Schindler's List, and like some of his odd modern films are pretty good as well. Warhorse is pretty good, and that's directed by him.
Mm. Ready Player One though. You wouldn't.
Well, I liked it.
Oh,
I
wait,
liked Ready Player One.
who
That was
said that?
Josh. That was Josh.
Ah,
That was Josh who said that. That was,
mm.
yeah, which fair enough. But like whether you like his later films or not, I don't think you can argue that he's not a goat because of his resume.
Fair enough.
If you
Um,
Jaws is one of the most revolutionary. Well, I can't say it properly. Revolutionary films.
there we go.
There we go.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Great one
Like,
there.
and the way he uses the zoom on Jaws is like something that nobody else did at the time, and it's still very hard to do that zoom shot
Yeah,
and do it effectively the way he
but
did it.
Hitchcock did it first.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah,
Well,
he
and
did.
maybe he didn't do it first, but he did it before.
Yeah.
Spielberg.
Oh
Speaking
yeah,
of
he did.
which,
Yeah. Yeah.
Hitchcock.
Yeah. Hitchcock definitely needs to be on there. Once again, can't argue with his resume. Psycho, brilliant film. Still holds up today, in my opinion. They tried to remake it and it was not very good.
Yeah.
North by Northwest is great as well. If you've not seen that, that's fantastic, fantastic film.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Birds is great
Mm,
as Birds is pretty good as well. That seems to be kind of underrated these days, doesn't it?
it is just making you afraid of just what's out there.
It's very weird because they had sequels to his films that were not directed by him that were made for like TV. It was very weird.
Oh, like Psycho. They had
Psycho
sequels.
2 and like 3.
I want to check them out just out of curiosity now.
It's weird.
Oh,
It's
and the
weird.
Bates Motel, that series.
Yeah, that was a reimagining though, wasn't it?
Oh, okay.
I've seen the first season or whatnot. It's it's all right. It's pretty good. It-
Oh, what
It's
about? Sorry.
no. I was just saying that it's pretty good.
Uh,
I'm not trying to slag it off or anything like that.
What about Ridley Scott?
Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott's a difficult one for me
Mm,
because he has some great stuff and then he has some terrible stuff. But obviously he has Alien, Gladiator,
Blade Runner,
Blade Runner.
Martian.
Yeah, it's very hard for me.
What about his
It's
bad
very hard.
films, the ones that are seen as lesser?
Alien Covenant, Prometheus. They're
Mm.
the two that kind of stick out to me, really.
What about
As
films
not
like
very good.
Exodus?
I can't actually remember. I've seen it, but I can't remember. A Christian Bale in it, didn't it?
Or The Counselor?
I've not seen that, but I
All
don't.
the Money in the
Oh,
World.
Robin in the Hood, Robin Hood.
Oh,
well.
yeah. All the Money in the World?
I actually enjoyed that. I thought Christopher Plummer was very good in that.
Yeah, short notice. Can you get in?
Yeah, can you get in? I don't know, to be honest with you. Like the good films he's made are very good, but the bad films he's made aren't very good.
He's an interesting one. Oh,
Yeah, he's very interesting indeed. I think it's like a few other directors we know actually.
I know you have opinions on Tarantino.
What? Why? What kind of opinions?
You tell me.
I don't know if he is actually a goat, to be honest with you. I'm a fan of his earlier work. His last two films I've not enjoyed at all. Hateful Eight and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Well, I've already talked about why I don't like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The Hateful Eight, it's just a bit slow. And I understand what they were going for, the mystery thing, but it just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't gel well with me, if you get what I mean.
Any of his other films didn't gel with you?
No, not really. Jackie Brown's normally the one that gets the hate, but I think that's perfectly fine. I think that's a perfectly fine film. I heard they changed some stuff from the book because it's, as far as I know, it's the only film that he's directed that he did not write.
Okay.
Story to, because Jackie Brown was a book. But with the thing with Jackie Brown is it deviates a lot from what his normal directing style is.
How do you describe that?
Like the over the top violence, the over the top clever dialogue, I guess, that we're used to seeing. Stuff like that. Like Jackie Brown obviously has great dialogue, but it doesn't have that over the top violence that people love. And it's very different in the pacing and the style as well. It doesn't feel like a Tarantino film almost, but it does at the same time. Like it's perfectly a good film to me. But obviously I'm a fan of stuff like Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill, all brilliant films. Django Unchained is good as well. That sometimes gets a bit of hate because it's a bit predictable, but it's pretty good apart from that.
Inglourious Bastards?
Oh yeah, that's great as well. Always great seeing Hitler, seeing history get changed, seeing Hitler get shot.
I just wish you would get on with that Star Trek film.
Yeah, I don't see that happening personally.
It's been written, so even if it's not directed by him, it's still like, well, got his name as story by credit.
Well, Tarantino's whole argument for, because he's planning on retiring. I think it's after this next film he makes or the film after, because he argued that directors are getting worse as they get older.
Yeah, well, just by what you say is
that I don't entirely agree. There's still plenty of directors that are older and do just fine. But
Fincher?
Yeah, Fincher, exactly. But he said he's retiring He's going to retire from film, and then he's going to. I think he's either going to continue writing films or like books or something like that after he, but no directing as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. Well, fair enough.
Yeah, well, he's got plenty of money, hasn't he? Plenty of money.
What
We've
else?
got we've got to get him back onto goats and stuff like that. Let's talk about more international directors because they're the ones that normally get swept out of the conversation most of the time.
That is true, yeah.
Kurosawa.
Okay.
Kurosawa is a guy that comes to mind. Japanese director, made the Seven Samurais, which has inspired so much, like so many films over the years. There was that film about his dreams as well, wasn't there? It was pretty good actually. Like he made a film where it would be like a collection of dreams he actually had. It's very cool how he did that. I believe he also inspired A Fistful of Dollars as well, didn't he? I think it was his film, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the film now. But like Kurosawa's like he's such an important figure, and obviously he's not American, he's Japanese. And he's had such a big impact. He didn't make his first film till he was 40. Is that right?
I remember you saying that to me.
No, I think it was you that said it actually.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember that film. I'm looking at it now. Actually, it's the film that inspired A Fistful of Dollars. It was that. It was a samurai film, like the Seven Samurai. It's not called the Seven Samurais.
Magnificent Seven?
No. I'm
No.
on about one of Kurosawa's films that inspired. Can't remember the name of it, but people will probably know what it is anyway. But obviously, Seven Samurais also inspired the Magnificent Seven as well. Well, it's a remake technically.
Jean-Luc Godard?
Yeah. There's like what's it? Breathless. Breathless is one of his great films.
French New Wave.
Yeah, the French New Wave, very important
Yeah.
wave to filmmaking, especially indie filmmaking as well.
Yeah, correlated with the time in the 50s when they were like smaller cameras, be like 35 mil or 16 mil.
Yeah.
Because you got the smaller Bolex cameras, and then you got your slightly larger Atons,
Yeah.
or the Arri flexes. The Arri did small Arri flexes that had smaller magazines they could put in, but they're a lot more portable than the larger ones. But yeah, just using that to its full advantage, and why not?
Yeah, and he did a lot of location shooting as well in around Paris, didn't he? For a lot of his films.
That was rare at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, because a lot of it was studio, wasn't it? Studio based stuff. Kind of where they started to lean away from the whole studio era. Almost.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, like if you're an indie filmmaker or someone who just gets a camera and films themselves anywhere, then you've partly got people like Godard to thank, ain't you?
Yeah, he was. I think he did a lot of it without permission as well.
Well, don't we all?
I think it. Yeah. Danny Boyle did it with 28 Days Later. He like because he like film. He would like film really early in the morning just so he wouldn't get caught.
Oh, that genius! That didn't he say that he used students to help block off roads because they're like cheap labor? Give them
Yeah, probably.
bread and pot noodle, and there you go.
Probably. I know that I know he shot a lot during like the early mornings just so he could avoid getting caught because he didn't have permission to be there in the first place.
Oh, that's brilliant. That.
Yeah. Going on to animation, actually, there's one guy in particular that's often mentioned in animation. It's Japanese director Miyazaki, the Studio Ghibli films.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Miyazaki's normally in that conversation. Films like Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke,
Mm,
stuff. Castle in the Sky, is it? That's another one, isn't it, by him?
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
So many fantastic films.
Definitely be a goat, yeah.
So, well, goat of animation, definitely.
Mm.
I know. I don't. I know. Most of his films. Well, I think all of them are actually hand drawn, aren't they?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. They're all. I believe it all. Most of them are hand drawn, which is amazing because they look fantastic. Most of them still look fantastic, to be honest. Well
Mm.
done. My favorite one of his is probably Princess Mononoke. It's actually rated a PG, but it has head decapitations in it. It's just a very strange rate how that got rated. That
Mm.
it's definitely not for kids.
Mm.
It has it has blood and all sorts in it.
Ah. Yeah.
This guy's just like having a fight with these gods and whatnot, and he just like chops off heads. I'm like, what the fuck is this, a PG film? Guys
Oh,
getting the heads chopped off.
wasn't it one where they were like beavers, but all the male beavers had like massive testicles? Am I thinking of the right one?
I don't think it's that one, but
Wasn't that a Ghibli film? Pompoko.
punk. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if it
massive
was.
testicle beavers or.
Yeah, yeah. It's strange but wonderful at the same time. It's
Mm.
just the Japanese have so many wonderful stories and like films.
I mean,
So
we'll say it's strange because, well, cultural differences. They probably
cultural
think
differences, yeah.
mm,
They think that stuff's
probably look at
to the
something
standard.
like patriotic, like a Spielberg film, and think, oh yeah, that's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It's just what they're used to, isn't it?
Yeah.
But he definitely is a goat, no doubt about it. I think he's retired now, actually. After
Fair enough.
he made that about the plane inventor, that bomber,
Okay.
or something like that. His son does films as well. Like there's Tales from the Sea Earth. No, actually, no, that wasn't made by his son. That was made by somebody else. But like, Studio Ghibli's not just him, but they are a lot of his films.
Mm. Is it like Old Man?
Yeah,
Mm. Would you say Odd Man or the people behind it are goats?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Mm. Like,
I suppose. I suppose the goat. I mean, the goat argument works and it doesn't. At the same time, if you think about it,
does it apply to individuals and not groups of people?
it's normally individuals,
Mm.
but
So,
I
uh,
don't. But like goat, I don't know because like goats as well. It's like an individual person, but it's also like it's a team effort at the same time. So it's very
auteur theory, that type of thing.
maybe,
Mm. Like, there's
but
arguments
it's
for it, arguments against it.
yeah.
Uh, what about actors being goats?
Actors being goats. That's a very. I guess Jack Nicholson's on there. I just have to. I would have to put Jack Nicholson on the goats because of like his. He's just fantastic.
Mm. Oh,
He's
who
fan.
else?
Jack. Well, anyways, going on about Jack Nicholson, like the amount of stuff he's done and like the roles he's played. Like,
Mm.
yes, you can argue that some of his roles he went a bit crazy, like how Nicolas Cage. I'm not comparing him to Nicolas Cage, but like when Nicolas Cage has like those cage outs, kind of like how Jack Nicholson is, like he has that kind of like stereotype casting sometimes with like the
Yeah.
Joker and the Shining.
Mm.
But then he also did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest as well,
Ah, yeah.
which is like him pretending to be crazy and he's actually not crazy, which is weird.
Mm. And being like sort of an intimidating crime boss in The Departed.
Yeah,
Worked well in that. Oh, Marlon Brando, often
yeah,
considered to be one of the best actors, pioneered the whole method acting thing.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you can't argue with it. Apocalypse Now, The
Mm.
Godfather.
Yeah.
It's it's yeah, his resume is really good. It's very hard for me because like there's a lot of actors that could be
Oh.
like goats.
Mm.
I would argue that James Stewart is actually a goat because of what he's done. You know, James Stewart, the
Mm.
actor, he does a lot. He did a lot of Hitchcock's films, like Rare Window
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. I could honestly like argue that he's a goat just because of everything he's done in
Mm.
like films, but he's from a like completely different era to somebody like Marlon Brando.
What about someone like Matthew McConaughey? Because he went through what's called the McConaissance. You had Mud, True Detective, Interstellar.
Matthew McConaughey has one of the greatest comebacks of all time when it comes to
Mm.
actors. He started out as in like these shitty B movie films to like becoming like an Oscar. I don't know, is he an Oscar winning actor? I think it
Yeah, I think he is. Well, if he isn't, he should
Dallas.
be.
Yeah. You
Dollar
see,
Shave Club.
I stopped following the Oscars a few years ago because I just didn't
Mm.
agree with a lot of what they were giving out. I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
sure.
that bit backhanding,
I
reach
mean,
around types, aren't they?
yeah, it's sure some of the best films do get it sometimes, but it's just sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
Like, how many times did Leonardo DiCaprio get snuffed out of a film?
Mm. Oh, Roger Deakins.
Oh yeah, Roger
Oh,
Deakins. Yeah,
yeah. But how many times he has been nominated? He's been nominated like 13 times. I think one year he was nominated twice for two different films. He still didn't get it, even though his chances were pretty well
yeah,
doubled. But then again, it's not about the awards, and people still recognise Deakins, and Deakins probably a goat of cinematography as well.
yeah, yeah. It's sometimes you've got to not look at critics so much. Like when Predator came out, it was badly hammered by critics.
Yeah.
It got I mean, if you look on Metacritic now, it's got like a 30% or something like that. Very low,
Mm.
very low indeed. But now it's considered a cult classic. So
Yeah.
there you go. You can't always. I think the problem with a lot of film critics is they look for like some like they don't always understand what the purpose of some films are. Like, say for example, Fast and Furious are there just to entertain people. Basically, they're not there to be something revolutionary or like send a political message out there, like something like American History X.
Yeah.
You can't really compare the two, and I think that's the problem. They're like, well, how well does the message come across to audiences? Well, some of those films do have messages in them, but the main priority is to just entertain people.
And make money.
Yeah, and make money, basically.
Mm. So could you not see someone like, say, Stallone or Schwarzenegger as a go of not maybe not acting, but of action?
I've never
Uh,
thought of that concept before, to be honest with you. It's, I
hmm.
mean, a goat. I suppose a goat could be for anything. So,
Mm.
most entertaining actor, we'll use the goat for that. I mean, Arnold would definitely be on there, no doubt about it.
We keep making all these categories. Might as well like give everyone an award. What about someone like, say, Vince Gilligan? Like, he started off in the X-Files. He submitted a script and they were like, yeah, we like this, get you on. Started writing a lot more, started producing, did some stuff, and then obviously went on to do Breaking Bad. And then after
Which I
that,
suppose is a goat of TV shows.
yeah, true. But
Pretty much.
and then Better Call Saul, which he co-created with Peter Gould, but still, like, still good. Like, Peter Gould's
Yeah.
still very good at what he does, and so is everyone else on the shows. But someone like Gilligan, would he be a goat?
What did Gilligan do before? I believe he did another series before Breaking Bad, didn't he?
X-Files was his first, but he might have done something between that.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I guess he is, because he made one of the greatest TV shows of all time, in my opinion, anyway.
Oh yeah, and well,
Because
and Better Call Saul being one of the best prequels as well.
I don't know, I got bored of it. Maybe I need to go back. Maybe I need to go back and watch it.
At what point do you get bored?
I think it was season 2. I'm not sure, to be honest. The thing, what's so genius about Breaking Bad is it gets better every episode. Well, every season, maybe not, because there's a few off episodes like The Fly. That's a bit of an off episode for me. Still good. But like every season gets consistently better.
Do you have any standout favorite episodes?
Well, it's kind of going to sound disgusting, but like when like his brother-in-law gets like shot by those
spoilers.
Oh shit, boy!
Yeah, was that Ozymandias?
Yeah, yeah.
What, 10 out of 10 on IMDb?
Yeah, I can't remember I couldn't remember the name. Like that's why I mentioned what happens. But like, that's just like such a big turning point for the series, and like, it's such a like risky move that they made at that point, just to like take everything away. Like, it's kind of also a big life lesson in a way. It's like, hey, you can do this. It will be risky. Yeah, sure, you're going to earn loads of money, but it can all just go away like that.
Yeah, end of the day, don't do business with a neo-Nazi gang.
Yeah. The ending's pretty good as well. Like a lot of TV shows that just end up absolute crap, don't they? They just end up being crap, like Game of Thrones, Dexter, Lost, especially Lost. I could probably make a podcast on why, an entire episode on why the Lost ending sucks.
Comment down below if you want to see that.
It's just, but with like the Breaking Bad ending, it doesn't go for the whole happy ending thing, but it like resolves. It gives you a lot of resolution to stuff, but it doesn't fix everything.
Oh,
to the point of where it's just near perfect ending.
No, you just need to wait for a few years until you make a film to tie off the loose ends that you haven't tied off.
I mean, what did you think to the film? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I thought it was decent. Didn't need to be there, but it didn't take away from anything. And
I kind of feel like it's just an extended episode of Breaking Bad, pretty much.
Yeah,
like it's not really anything. It's not going to be any standout film that you're going to see if you haven't seen Breaking Bad.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Breaking Bad, don't watch El Camino. But if you haven't seen Breaking Bad, then while you're watching something that has spoilers of it, finish watching this, then watch it, because we won that rant. Other standouts.
Sorry, Jeff, I was going to say, sorry to cut you off there, but like Breaking Bad's like one of the few TV shows that doesn't end bad, which is always a plus.
House MD didn't end bad.
Sons of Anarchy wasn't too bad. It was just a bit like, okay.
Yeah.
It was just a bit like, okay, that's how they're gonna play it. Okay.
Oh, standout episodes for me, like 3 Days Out, season 2. You know when it's like Jesse, we need to cook.
Oh yeah, yeah,
With
yeah,
methamphetamines going bad. And it's just like
yeah,
just when everything like for me, that's the main turning point for him because he's been all reckless, and then Jesse leaves the key in the ignition, and it's like, oh, we can't start the car. We've got a big meth lab. We can't exactly call the AA, and
yeah,
like, but like using like chemistry and that to solve the problems. Always love that in Breaking Bad.
yeah,
Um, which is sort of the charm for a lot of the earlier episodes.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but
It's great. It's just like the first season's good, but then it just gets to the second season and third season, and it's just consistently gets better. Well, for me, it does anyway.
mm,
That's why I consider it one of the greatest TV shows of all time because it's just consistent. And they didn't overdo it with the seasons. Like Dexter could have, like when Dexter was running, it could have ended like way before it did,
mm.
and probably better to be honest than it did.
Well, Breaking Bad could have ended at season 4. I mean, I believe that was the original plan.
Yeah,
When Gus Fring died, but
yeah,
they were like, okay, got all these other things. And honestly, first time watching, I thought, yeah, this is going to be the season where things just go on a bit too far. But no, it didn't. It just branched things off organically. Like,
yeah,
obviously, you get rid of a kingpin.
yeah.
Walt is gonna fill that gap. Like, how's he gonna do that? And then Hank finds out, like when he's taking a dump, and it's like, man,
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, what were we saying about goats originally, and now we've gone into Breaking Bad
yeah,
praise.
yeah. Well, Breaking Bad being a goat. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. So like when it comes to public opinions about like popular opinion, do we agree? Because looking at IMDb's list, would you agree that that list is what it should be for you personally?
that is a good question. Some of it no, some of it yes. I think the yes things would be the older stuff, the things that older have come out.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say no for a lot of the newer stuff because you've got people bombing dislikes for things like Doctor Who.
Mm.
Regardless of what you think of the more recent series, series 11 and 12, a lot of people dislike them. Some episodes more than others.
Yeah.
But you got people who almost make disliking new Doctor Who their whole personality. And
Okay.
yeah, you know the type of people who just like
Okay.
make old YouTube channels like doing it. And obviously with IMDb, they have a thing where you can't vote on it until the day it comes out.
Yeah.
And the episode is scheduled to come out at 6 p.m. GMT, but come 1 p.m., it's
Yeah.
already got like 3.8 on IMDb. And it's just like, oh, hold on a minute. That can't be seen as an actual fair rating of it because it just isn't. And yeah, fair enough if you don't like it, but I think things nowadays are a bit more skewed. I think the same can be said for things like Star Trek, especially with Discovery, Picard. You got people making all these wild conspiracy theories saying, "Oh, this isn't part of the prime timeline. This is all bad because how could it get any worse?" Oh, shut up! You're still watching it, so it can't
Yeah.
be that bad, can it? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, to answer your question, older stuff can be more reliable than newer stuff because
Yeah.
especially if you look at say older Doctor Who or older Star Trek, they are rated far more fairly. Like, and there's an episode of TNG called Shades of Grey. and it got 3.6, something like that on IMDb. The worst by far of any episode. It was basically one of
Yeah,
those clip shows. But I mean, that's like fair enough. It shouldn't be compared to, um, like say, an episode of Discovery, because
yeah.
yeah,
I think I think every like with the older stuff, people don't seem to bash it because it's already like earned its reputation
mm,
from years. Whereas with new stuff, it's still new, and everybody these days has an opinion about something. Like I don't know. I think people are a lot more opinionated these days than they ever have been, especially
mm,
with all the political stuff that's going on in the world now.
mm,
With everything, like everybody has an opinion. Well, it's kind of similar to what Denham was saying actually about everybody has their own truth now.
yeah, got their own cognitive bias and their
Yeah,
cognitive dissonance.
yeah. Because I don't know. I'd argue that you can't be a film reviewer and not be biased.
Yeah,
I argue that you can't be a critic and not be a little bit biased because it's your own take on something. But
mm,
I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I think a lot of critics. I think like Mark, what's his name, Mark Commod.
yeah.
I think he's a pretty fair critic. So I don't know. Don't know where I'm going with this, but like what I was saying was that everybody has an opinion these days
Yeah,
about something.
yeah, it's like arses that everyone has one and most of them stink.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess it's also films these days are more have more political agendas than they did back.
You,
Well, like with I don't know necessarily. Well, obviously, I mean older films do obviously have
mm,
political agendas, but like there's a lot of change like with in terms of who they put on screen now. Whereas like obviously there was the whole thing with Star Trek about the interracial kiss, which was
back in the 60s.
yeah, which actually was a very got very positive responses.
Mm. What about the lesbian kiss in Deep Space Nine?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Oh, apparently, a lot of the letters were positive,
yes,
but a lot of the calls were negative,
mm,
saying, "How could you do this? Like, my child watches this, blah 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 blah."
yeah,
And it's like, well, would you prefer if the woman like took out a phaser and just shot her dead? And it's like, well, yeah, of course. And it's just the response is like, well, that
yeah,
seems to be an issue with you and not us,
yeah,
because
yeah. There's just a lot. There's just a lot more of, I guess, in modern films. There's a lot more of that kind of stuff, which I don't mind anyway, because it's in modern society now. Anyway,
it just is. Like, you can be mad about it, you can be angry about it. That's not going to change anything. So, might as
but
well do the
I
thing that
also
makes more.
yeah, but I also think sometimes it is a bit forced in some films, just for the sake of it being there, just so
Yeah,
people can go like, "Oh, that's in there. That's nice."
yeah, no, I know what you mean there.
Yeah,
Would you say that's more to do with the film itself, or the marketing around that film? Like, say we've got this franchise's first um black woman lead, or,
yeah,
or something like that, just saying that to gain like brownie points.
yeah. I would that kind of thing. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I would go for.
Mm.
To be honest with you, like, don't get me wrong. It's perfectly. Look, I think it's perfectly fine to have gay characters. I don't have
Oh, no,
anything
no, 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 no,
against it
no.
at all. I'm
Sorry,
not a
I
homophobe,
wasn't.
guys. I have gay friends. Okay, leave me alone. But a lot of films and TV seem to have characters in there, and the whole point of their character is the fact they're gay. rather than the character themselves,
Yeah.
which, in my opinion, is a double-edged sword. Because
Okay.
if it's it's kind of not just like it's not that it's not needed, but it's a bad representation if you think about it. Like having a character there just because they're gay, it's kind of insulting at the same time, don't you think, to like LGBT
Hmm.
people?
Yeah, I get what you mean there. Like,
It's
if
like
if sorry.
it's like, oh, let's just put them in there because then we can score extra brownie points because they're gay. And well, LGBT people are just going to be like, well, why does it matter if they're gay or not?
And that
Like,
becomes their personality type,
yeah,
not the depth of their character or anything, blah blah blah.
yeah,
But it's like,
like it's
this
like,
is a
oh,
homosexual. Please watch our film. Like you. No, no, no.
like,
You, how dare you look criticize this character? Blah blah. No, criticizing the character because they're poorly written and hollow. And
yeah, it'll be actually, I can't think off the top of my head what film or TV series does this, but I've seen plenty of it anyway.
Rise of Skywalker.
Wait, which?
There was a brief sort of like, I don't know, lesbian kiss in the Western version, just to be like,
Okay.
yay, look at this, like first gay kiss in
Yeah,
Star Wars. When it comes to China, just cut that out and don't say anything about it.
yeah,
Just get the money.
yeah. But there's also a film that I really like called Love, Simon. Have you seen Love, Simon?
No.
It's 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 fantastic. It's just about a high school student that comes out as gay. Well, is trying to come out as gay. Well, he's talking to like this guy through emails, but he's obviously in the closet at the minute. Nobody knows.
Mm.
And well, I'm not going to spoil the film, but like obviously does get to a point where he's like trying to come out to people as gay and stuff like that. But like the reason I love that film so much is the fact that they didn't have him there as a character just because he was gay. Like he had a character to him. It
Mm.
wasn't just his whole. It's not just his purpose as a character was the fact he was gay. There was so much more to him,
Yeah.
and that's the way it should be. It shouldn't be, oh well, they're transgender, they're gay. You know, let's just have them in there because of that.
Mm. Yeah. Just going back to Discovery as well. Are their two first openly gay characters who were also in a relationship? You had Paul Stamets and Hubert Colbert.
Yeah,
They were introduced separately. One was introduced episode 3, one was introduced episode 4, and it's established there were a couple in episode 5. They had their own character, although judging by the press about it, it was like, yeah, these are gay characters, and it's like, okay, but what about them? There was
yeah,
not about them. Although they did get a lot of development, especially in season 3. Like Colbert and Stamets both got really great development, and kudos to them for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's something I was going to say actually about it because no, actually, yeah, one of the and that's what's because when it is sometimes genuine, people now get pissed off about it. Like when it is like when a character is gay, but they've also got a character to him, people still get pissed off because they feel like it's being shoved down the throats
Even
when
when
it's
it's
actually
not.
not. Yeah,
Mm,
and now it's created this effect where like people automatically hate something because they feel like it's being forced down the throats.
it's like Sesame Street.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah,
they have a history of dealing with things like they dealt with 9/11,
yeah,
or just the reality of terrorism. They dealt with like autism.
yeah,
Showing like accurate, well, better as best they could, accurate representation of autism and better explanation than then what a lot of other people would do that. And
Yeah,
it makes sense that they're also going to be explaining, well, what gay people are. And people can get pissed off about it. And it's like, well, so it's part of the real world. Kids are going to look at the real world and they're going to see that. Their parents
yeah,
haven't told them about it. They're not going to be, oh, well, this is bad. They're most likely going to be, well, my parents haven't taught me this thing about the world. How can I trust them on anything else? Like,
yeah,
if their parents are getting pissed off about representation in children's media, it's like, well,
yeah,
that's the world you live in. Like, you don't
yeah.
have the
I
right
don't
to.
I don't think it's a case of people being homophobic or being discriminative. It's just it's just because of all these forced agendas that have been created over the years. It's just created that effect.
Okay.
That's what I honestly think. Now, like the whole thing with 007 when that was about the whole woman controversy thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't think that's actually happening now, is it?
Is it just another character assuming the role of 007 and not just being
I think it's another
James Bond?
character or something like that.
Mm.
But like they're the kind of films that just like change people's minds and like get them saying we're sick and tired of woke culture and stuff like that.
Man,
So
if I had a quid for every time someone on the internet says that.
yeah, but that's the thing though. It's it's not just bad in that it's forcing stuff down people's throats,
Mm.
but when something genuine tries to do it, it's also getting hate.
No, oh, but no, I understand what you're saying there, yeah. And how do you identify something that's genuine? Like, I'll pass that question on to you. How would you identify something as genuine representation versus, like, hey, look at us?
Um, well, like I said, with Love Simon, the character, it's not just about the fact he's gay. He's got a character to him. Like he's got a genuine character. It's like Rain Man as well, actually,
Hmm.
because he's got a character to him. But obviously, he's also on the spectrum. But that's not his whole character. There's a series called The Bridge, actually, that I don't know if you've seen. There's like 3 different versions of it.
No.
So the original Bridge is a Danish and Swedish TV show, which they have, which they basically they find a body on the border. So the border is like a bridge between Denmark and Sweden,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they find a body in between, and both cops have to deal with the situation,
Hmm.
the Danish police and the Swedish ones. And the Swedish police woman is on the spectrum. Supposedly, there's never actually a direct piece of dialogue that refers to her on the spectrum, as far as I'm aware. But like that's not just her character though. Well, it is part of her character, but she's got more to her than that. Like she's smart. She's a very complex character. She's very socially awkward, but she's very good at solving murders.
Hmm.
Like that's genuine to me.
Okay. So what would be an example of not being genuine?
Um, you know what? I mean, we already tried to say this, didn't we?
Mm.
Obviously, the Star Wars stuff is. We always pick on Star Wars, don't we?
Oh, yeah, it's part of our bingo.
We always pick on Star Wars, but yeah, Star Wars is definitely on there for a few reasons. Um, Obviously, there was the whole Finn and Rose forced relationship, which I believe was in there for forced diversity. Because Finn originally were I guess it was more of a thing for Ray, wasn't it?
It's been a while
Yeah.
since I've seen it, to be honest.
And also Ray as a character as well. Just this whole Mary Sue kind of character where you have an agenda pushed of like feminism, but it just like there's nothing in her character. Like what kind of character is Ray? Like I've been trying to ask people this question and they don't really know the answer to what a character actually is. I still don't know what her character actually is. Like she seems to be good at everything. She never seems to struggle.
Which you need your characters to struggle. You need the
Yeah.
internal conflict. You just
She
don't
never
need to be
she
right from the
doesn't
get-go.
she doesn't struggle at anything, really, in the films.
Mm.
Not like Luke did. I mean, Luke, was so impatient, went to fight Darth Vader, got his hand chopped off. Like that's part of a character development. Ray doesn't go through any of that. She's just good at everything from the get-go. And it's just forced feminism, in my opinion.
Even Anakin Skywalker, similar thing happened to him. Like, we will go together. No, I'll take him now. And then
Yeah.
Dooku just...
Yeah.
Ah.
I can think of it in a video game actually called Mass Effect 3. You played it? You played any of those games?
Nah. Sorry, it's just... This whole podcast is going to be, oh yeah, have you seen this? Nah.
Well, there's this guy called James in it. He's like one of the crew members who you can have a gay relationship with.
Okay.
No, his name's not James. It's Cortez or something like that. I was getting him mixed up with another character. Anyway, you can have this gay relationship with this character. You can also have a lesbian relationship with one of the other characters on the crew. But like, he has nothing to his character whatsoever other than the fact he's gay. There's like barely anything there, unlike his backstories that his like other gay partner got killed in action or something like that. And it's just like, fair enough, like that's okay having those options there, but if you're going to put them in there, put a character in there that's interesting, that has something
Yeah.
to them.
No, I get what you mean there. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you got any examples, Jeff? Because I'm struggling at the minute with this.
Trying to think. Good example. Going back to Doctor Who. Was it Captain Jack Harkness? Someone who's seen as like more omnisexual. Yeah, he's overt with it, and but then again, that's part of his character. That's more of a coping mechanism.
Yeah,
for him, and at least that's my reading of it. Although there are some aspects to it, it's like, yeah, like I wouldn't imagine if you were going to have a gay character in earlier Doctor Who, they wouldn't be quiet about it.
no.
But it's more, I think that someone like Harkness had a double-edged sword to be like, yeah, look, gay representation, while at the same time trying to do something with it, like trying to incorporate that showing of it into his character, which, okay, yeah. A truly bad example. Truly bad example. A truly bad example.
I can tell you another good example, but I'll wait until you've done your bad example.
Oh, okay. It'd probably take a while, but
I mean, I can tell you. I mean, I think we talked about this, didn't we? Blue is the warmest color. Did we talk about that?
we did, yeah. That was that French film.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good representation. Like, it's not just about the fact they're gay, but also what actually happens in the relationship. You know, it's a it has a very complex relationship in it.
Yeah.
And it could have worked not just as a lesbian film, but like as a straight relationship if they wanted to. I think, well, at least I think anyway.
Yeah.
A lot of people bash on it because of these sex scenes in it.
It's French. What do you expect? Well, that's the thing with like gay people. It's like gay relationships are like straight relationships, only not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but I think that's a very good representation.
mm,
Personally, I do.
uh, you got me thinking that I can't think of one. You know the archetype where it comes in. It's like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's a bit forced, and you feel
yeah.
everyone just cringing.
Because we were originally talking about goats and directing, and
Oh,
it's not. And we just came upon this
I'll probably
topic.
think of it as soon as you press the stop recording button and like, oh wait, no,
Oh wait, wait, wait,
mm.
wait.
Oh, I'll shout it if it comes to mind.
Yeah, man.
Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, when it comes to representation, I think it's sort of like when people like saying that, yeah, there's a new character who's gay. I think there's the reaction of like, and because we've had so many, be it positive or negative representation, and it's all just sort of like as soon as there's the announcement that there's like another gay character, it's like, okay, there's nothing special,
yeah,
like anything about this character. And if they do say more about the character, that's what people are more interested in. Because it
yeah.
just is
It's
what it is, and you can have a story centering about around a gay character without it being about you know the whole thing about like the different films about a gay character overcoming homophobia.
yeah,
And there's far less films about that because it's well, you tend to think about a lot of films about that, but
yeah,
I think that's also the same thing that's happening now with a lot of trans representation because whenever there are trans people in media, it's almost like um, they are there to be the victim of transphobia. Like,
yeah.
and a good example would be Orange is the New Black, which actually played by a trans woman. Oh, what's the name?
I've not
Uh,
seen it, so I can't help you
oh
on
no,
that.
but obviously prisons in America very segregational when it comes to racism. You've got the whole uh, the white people's showers, the black people showers, the Hispanic people showers. Um, and if you're Asian American, then well, no, no one's going to want you in their showers because everyone's segregated by racism. Uh,
Yeah,
but no, that's telling the truth of it, and yeah, like having a character in a long form series encounter that. Okay, in today's society, they will, but in 10 years' time, will we be getting more trans characters playing or in films that aren't centered around or involving transphobia?
maybe we're
Yeah.
getting because we've really evolved, haven't we, from everything that's happened? Like I remember, like as much as I don't like the Harry and Meghan interview, I've got to give Oprah Winfrey credit because she is outstanding when it comes to like taking risk, especially when Ellen DeGeneres came out as gay. That was huge,
Mm.
you know. Back in the day, I remember I watched the actual interview. It must have been devastating for Ellen, you know, must have been absolutely devastating for her because
Oh,
she got tons of abuse.
when did she come out?
I think it was the 90s because
Yeah.
because it was the whole one of the characters on the TV show she was playing. I think they came out as gay, and then obviously that just made her come out
Mm.
as well. almost. But she got so much hate for it. You know, it must have been horrible for her. Like her dad. I can't remember if it was a dad or a stepdad. Her dad kicked her out of his house because she had a half sister. No, it was a stepdad, I believe, and she had a stepsister. Ellen did, and they didn't want the stepsister to be influenced by Ellen because she was gay, so they kicked her out. They told her to leave. That must be absolutely awful to go through.
Yeah.
Awful.
So that's not how being gay works. It's not transmissionable. But
yeah. So when you think about it, like how much we've moved on from then to now, it's.
I mean, there'll still be people who will kick people out for complete irrational reasons.
Yeah.
But are they few and further between?
Yeah, it's the same with. I guess it's the same with racism, really. I mean, I don't actually want to get into that. That's a big can of worms to open there, Jeff.
Oh,
That's a very big can of worms to open because racism does still exist, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but I think it's more of a minority of people.
You'd hope.
I hope it is.
But
I don't know. Anyways, we should get back onto
save racism for another podcast.
Not our podcast. But to answer your question, I could see it happening. Ellen Page is doing it, isn't she? She hasn't got the full. Well, no, Elliot Page now. That's it. I apologize to Ellen Page if she watches this. Elliot Page, sorry.
Oh,
I'm very sorry, Elliot.
Did anyone see it coming?
She came out as gay a few years ago, so I guess that was a turning point, wasn't it? Maybe, I don't know because I'm not her, but him. Sorry.
God,
I'm really going to get so much shit for this.
You don't mean any malice by it, do you?
No.
Thank you, everyone, once again for joining us. This has been Senor Blanco and myself. Hope you have a good week and
have
see
a
you
good
next
one,
time.
guys. Bye.
Toodaloo.